Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute. So today I want to talk to you about the subject of bad occult books. So it's a topic that I've been wanting to talk to you all about for a little while now, and I've noticed that there's a slight little bit of movement in people discussing it more openly now. So what better time for me to be sharing my thoughts? But I also want to include, after I've talked about what I think makes bad occult books, some actual practical solutions. Because that's one thing that I don't feel like people are talking about yet, is how can we tackle the case of bad occult books. So the first thing that I really wanted to mention was the fact that not all bad occult books are the fault of authors. So I'm going to unpack that a little. I'm going to be quite honest in this video. So I'm obviously an author. I've gone through traditional publishing, what is called traditional publishing, where you go through a publishing house. So I talk to a lot of authors in traditional publishing, and one thing that is sort of bandied around behind the scenes, but not so much at the forefront for readers to sort of hear, know about, and which I think they do deserve to know about really, is the fact that a lot of bad occult literature isn't always the fault of the author, because it's often driven by the publishers. It's driven by primarily the marketing team. So the basic idea of books being bad is usually that the marketing teams are following trends, and then they're using hashtags and things to determine what goes into books. And like a trend is literally what it is. It's trend. It's fad. It's something that fades quickly, and so we end up with books that don't really have endurable content. It doesn't stand the test of time. It doesn't even stand the test of a few months, because it's about reacting to trends and cashing in. It's not about giving you something that's deep and raw and real and based on someone's actual lived magical experiences. There have been a few authors behind the scenes, multiple publishing houses, who have made the fact very clear that the book they wrote and the one that sees paper, the one that the reader gets hold of, are not the same, and they're not the same because they're changed. And a lot of that change is also created because, well, really, it's to set up other books. You create a need for books that are coming out further down the line by setting the marketing, of creating need of subject matter by injecting subject matters into other people's work, so that when you buy it, you then want the next book, which is something that's further down the publishing line, and then they release three. So it feeds you. The books are becoming advertisements and not becoming, sustainable literature for people's magical journey and craft. So the other part of that, the marketing team, is books that are being ghostwritten effectively. And I'm not talking like the Lisa Chamberlain, Lisa Cunningham, Lisa Buckland. It's always a Lisa, isn't it, when it's AI? I mean, these are books that are produced or AI produced, and then they're handed to somebody who looks like they would have wrote the book, basically. So there's author, well, the authority, really. The word author derives from the word authority. It means you can speak on the subject because you have experience in the subject or knowledge. And when you have people being handed a book they didn't write, there is no authority in that book. Because fiction is written by novelists. The novels are written by novelists. Books are written by authors because they're factual and they're based on the authority of the author, of the person writing it. So a great solution to looking for signs of that, of both these things, of marketing strategy and even of people being handed literature, which is becoming more common than people would probably suspect, is look at themes of books. I'm just going to pick a random theme off the top of my head. Candle magic. Okay, right. So you get like 3, 4, 5 books on candle magic all coming out in a very short space of time. That's a big red flag, because it's telling you that the marketing strategy is we're pushing candles. And it seems so easy when I say it, but the writing is on the wall, it is there, and it's just really looking and being aware of the literature that's out there. So there's not authors being handed books, and then there are the people who are having their work changed. The biggest tackle to both of these approaches to bad books is finding authors who are actually writing their own work and who you enjoy, and leaving a review, going on Amazon, going on Goodreads. You can register for free. It's that simple, and then you just leave an honest review. But the other thing is tagging the publishers. If you see these trends and you're noticing the same kinds of messages being plugged or pushed by multiple authors all in a short space of time, it's the marketing team, 100%. Tag the author and the publishers, and tell the publishers, because they're the ones doing it. It doesn't matter which author it is, because they'll just do it to any author that they have their hands on their work. Tag them and say we're fed up of these marketing strategies in books, we want better books. Because the marketing strategy is to appeal to you, the reader. And so the moment that you start saying to the publishing houses, this is not what we want, the publishing house has to say, right, the marketing strategy isn't working, what do we do? And the likely result will be that they give their authors their voices back. So there's that point. I do feel like there was something else I was really wanting to add, and I can't for the life of me think what it was. So we had the produce. Oh, yes, and then there are the people who are just being asked to write a book. So the people who are being approached and saying, you write a book on this. And you can normally tell when that happens because they'll be on cultures that are quite obscure, but people are interested in knowing about, like Afro-Caribbean cultures, Latin American cultures, things like that. And you'll find that you get this very sort of TikTok, Instagram, Facebook type of material. And if it's something that you can just Google, then it isn't generally going to be someone who was raised in a culture. Because someone raised in a culture is going to be able to bring something that an algorithm online, and that's what a search engine is, like Google, it just processes the word and it throws up, it spits out results based on a few keywords that you punch in. If that's the type of material that's in the book, that's not somebody who's lived in a culture, because people will always have something unique about their culture, unique about where they live, that informs what they do. And if you don't have that, then that is a big red flag too. And again, it's about pushing on the publishers. Ghostwriting, that was the thing I was going to mention before. If you see that, the best way to know if someone's ghostwriting is look at their content online. A lot of people who have ghostwritten books are people who have basically been handed a book. They will write things online, and the language they use is not the language that appears in their books. I'm not saying that they're going to write things in exactly the same way, but you know the type of language, words, where they speak. If you can't find their voice in there, and you start noticing that pattern across a few books of different authors, then you know that one person wrote those books, and it's none of the people whose names on the book. So the biggest way to tackle the bad books, I don't think, is blaming authors, because authors, as I'm using it here, are the people who actually sit down, write their books. So if you want to support good books, support people who are actually doing the work, and that's why I started doing Witch the Pot, which is where I'm interviewing people, because I want real people. I want to know the people behind the literature. I want to know what informs the writing. I want to know this stuff because it supports good books, and as a community we should want to have good content and not have cheap, easily produced materials pushed on us at a high price, because there is a price to that too, which is the detriment of our community, the direction that it moves, because we're not people of the book, but we are people who get lots of books. So it really impacts how our community moves, how it develops, the type of conversations it's having, and if we're having like really sort of, if our direction is being shaped by marketing strategy, and that's not a good thing, because we're starting to go away from being witches to being part of the corporate mechanism of a sales team, which, if you think about it, is really tragic and dire. So I'm going to leave that there, and this is a safe space channel. I've always wanted it to be a safe space channel. When I first started this channel, then when I wiped all my videos and relaunched it not that long ago, I've always said I want this to be an honest and safe space. So if you have any books, you have questions about publishing houses, any experiences, drop them in the comments. Let's get a discussion going, and let's demand better books. So that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Share, get involved in the conversation, and how do you think we can fix the solution of bad books? That's my take. It isn't the ultimate take. It's just the only way I can, from an inside position, think how publishing houses would move. Where like the call is coming from inside the house, and it's the publishing house. So that to me is the solution, when that's where the root of the bad books is. It has to be where the solution lies. It has to lie in pushing the publishing houses to do better jobs. My second book with Occult Books, I'm glad to say my experience and the experience of people who I've spoken to with them, and there's no pushing, there's no agenda, and that's what I like. The slogan was they wanted to create a space for, everybody's voice to be heard, and I genuinely believe that is the way forward, for good books, and they've got an amazing catalogue of books and authors at the minute. So that's it. Yeah, let's make better books.